just based on what I've seen, I hope the record does not stand.
Wow.
This record has kind of changed my stance a little bit.
Let's get into some timer, some frames, okay? Let's start by looking at David's video. We're gonna watch this. This popped up on my feed the other day, and I thought, oh, this is interesting. Remotely snarky, just slightly snarky, just a really good amount of snark. Anyway, let's watch David's video.
Of doing thousands of solves and not making any progress?
I am tired of
Are
that.
you looking for an easy way to improve your times?
I am looking for that.
What if I told you there is one simple trick that will lower your times instantly? First, put your hands down on the timer. Then grab
looks
the
legal
cube
so
while
far.
sliding your hands along the timer and keeping the contact with it the whole time.
Less legal.
Now you can lift your hands off the timer and begin your solve. This is how it looks at a normal speed. You may say, wait, the WCA regulations say that you must keep your hands flat on the timer and you can't touch the cube while starting the solve. Isn't it a +4 penalty? Well, you may be right, but this technique has already been used officially by fast TY2 solvers. For example, in the recent 078 world record average by Heng Wang, or in 053 single by Ellery Dillon. And additionally, according to the WCA, it's perfectly okay to do this at an official competition, since it can only be spotted by analyzing the video frame by frame. Okay, so now you might wonder how much faster it actually is. I did some attempts on this 4-move scramble and compared it with normal timer stats. I found out that on average, my times with this technique were about 1500s faster. That's a huge difference for top TY2 solvers. And
That is
who
a chunky
knows,
bit of time.
maybe one day we will see an insane world record single thanks to it.
Okay, first of all, thank you, David. So, what have we learned so far? There is some speculation, all right, that young Yi Heng's timer starts were potentially an issue. Let's look at regs first, okay? Let's have a look at that. The competitor uses their fingers to touch the elevated sensor surfaces of the stack mat timer. The competitor's palms must be facing down and located on the side of the timer that is closer to the competitor. Penalty, 2 seconds. The competitor must have no physical contact with the puzzle while starting the solve. Penalty, 2 seconds. So there's our +4, all right? Not the funky trousers, but a +4 for 2 penalties, A4B and A4B1. I think we probably need to look at the videos themselves. I'm gonna do this like right inside Premiere Pro. There's Zane. We'll look at him in a minute. So here's our man doing his thing. Like, it doesn't look crazy bad, right? It doesn't look particularly wild. I don't think. At first glance, like, I don't think they look particularly bad. I do just want to say as well, before we get any further into it, it is incredibly impressive because there's some crazy fast turning and his TPS is outrageous, okay? Absolutely outrageous. James is saying you can frame count on YouTube. I'm sure you can. I haven't worked out how, but I'm sure you can. But I wanted to be absolutely sure that I knew the frame rate that I was watching as well, you know? So I know that that this video is 30 frames a second. Because I've been able to look at it within. He's so fast off the timer. Like, he's not like... He's just... Oosh. And that one looks very clean. Like, that one looked so clean. Especially the left hand. But the right hand, arguably, is an issue, potentially. The solves are so good anyway. Like, they are really, really impressive and incredible. I have some issues though, because there's a couple of things at play. One of them being this little cheeky frame that I put up yesterday. So if I individually frame count backwards, here's where it looks like the hands are coming off the timer. And then then the timer's not starting. Nothing's happening on that little timer screen. I know the batteries are faded. Nothing's happening there until he's turning, right? Whoa, Dauntless. Period and comma, full stop and comma are -1 frame. That's very interesting. So this was to demonstrate that there is a delay for sure between the timer and the display. We do know that there is a lag. We know that for sure. My point of demonstrating that is that there are issues with frame counting, I suppose, is my issue. So if we look at Yi Heng's first solve, for example, and we're looking at LCD displays here as well. If you look at this one, Oh, maybe it's not the first solve. There was a solve where it goes from 0.88 to 0.033. Like, it looks like it's counting backwards, you know? Like, LCD displays are not ideal. And I don't think necessarily anyone's suggesting that that is what we're using. But you can just... Frame counting is... So there you see, you've got 0.08, and then the next frame along is 0.41 because LCD screens are not ideal. I understand that the display has lag. I just wanted people to... I wanted everyone else to understand that as well before we get further into it, you know? So I'm not disagreeing with anyone so far or anything like that. But where there does seem to be a little bit of ambiguity, I suppose my point was, like, my point of bringing that up is not to say that everyone's wrong because there are delays. My point is, I think in this point, probably my point is to back up the WCA in their decision to not have, or their guideline to not have video evidence submitted after the fact as proof of shenanigans on the timer. Do you see what I mean by that? Like, I'm not trying to prove anyone wrong. I'm just saying, oh, I think maybe this is part of the reason why the WCA aren't looking at it. And Ibrahim, I understand that your frame count ignores the display. Something that yours does ignore, I think, potentially, and we're gonna actually use that in a minute to have a look at something. If you're looking at a timer start issue, I think weirdly you have to actually start frame counting from the stop, but you have to count backwards, and yours didn't use stops. But anyway, we'll get to that. We're gonna look at this. We're gonna look at this. James saying that's not the guideline. Regs explicitly allow video evidence. I don't think I've seen that. I thought it was precedent that allowed video, or precedent that didn't allow video. Because we're in the regs right now. Give me something to search for. I'll look for it. If the competitor resets, because there is a reg here about video, which I didn't know and I thought was a bit harsh. You're not allowed to submit a result from video if someone resets the timer. That's kind of harsh, eh? Right, where's the other video? Decisions about an incident may be supported with video or photographic analysis at the discretion of the WCA delegate. Incidents include execution of event procedures, interference or facility interruptions, equipment malfunction. So is it frame counting specifically that isn't allowed? Is it frame counting specifically that isn't allowed? Because we're gonna take a look, and we're gonna have to do some maths here, and I'm gonna have to write this down. Okay, so everyone, let's just take the first solve, okay? For argument's sake, let's take the first solve, so 0.70. Solve 1. We're not going to do all of them because I don't think that's necessary. 0.70 is the solve. Now, I want to show you the screen first of all, don't I? So I'm going to look for the stop frame. I think the stop frame is probably that one, but let's do some maths first of all, okay? So, and I'm going to show my working here. Because I want you guys, but like almost all of you are smarter than I am, so I want you to check my maths here. This is a 30 frames per second video. We know that this solve is 0.7 seconds, so to get that in frames, we multiply it by 30, right? Which gives us 21, okay? So solve 1, 0.70 should be 21 frames. Does anyone disagree with my mathematics so far? Okay, we know what this should be. James making the valid point. High time we stop relying on solvers themselves for their own video, lol. Yeah, true, because I was looking for a video of someone who does really good timer starts, and I think Dwayne Ramos from New Zealand, he's like fingers like this. Oosh, there's absolutely no ambiguity. However, he doesn't film, he films off the desk, so you can't see his timer display, you can't see anything, you know? Has anyone checked my maths yet? Are we happy with my maths, right? 0.7 times 30 gives me 21. Display doesn't matter though. I suppose it doesn't. Okay, I'm gonna count 21 backwards. This is solve 1, Ibrahim. Yeah. Okay, let's say I'm fairly sure that is the stop frame there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Ouch. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know. So let's recap on what I've done so far, okay? That looks like the stop frame there. So everyone's saying solve 1 is 0.74. This is literally the video, and that's the first solve. Like, this is the average, right? Was I on solve 2? Oh, I was on solve 2. Okay, let's go back to the start. Far out. 0.74. 0.74 divided by, times 30 equals 22.2. That's slightly problematic, isn't it? 22.2 frames is what we're looking at. Apologies, everyone. Okay. Let's find that stop frame. I'm going to say that's the stop frame. We happy with that? Thank you, Ota. Sorry about that. Sorry for not for not believing you. I was convinced I was on solve 1, but here we go. Okay, so solve 1 0.74. 0.74 times 30, 22.2 frames is what we should be seeing. Okay, so let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Those are very much hands-on cubes, aren't they? 22.35, Dauntless is saying. So between that frame and that frame is where the timer is starting. Okay, I don't like what I'm seeing. I don't like what I'm seeing. Okay, so this is where we are between those two. It's the literal pickup. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, you can see a palm. You can see a palm here. What I'm looking at now is the 4 frames before the timer's touch. Okay, so let me demonstrate what I've done again, okay? Because I want to be absolutely clear what we're looking at here. I think I like that one as the stop. I think that one as the stop. It's a 0.74 solve. 0.74 times 30, which is the frame rate of the video, gives me 22.2 or 22.35. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23 are the two it's between. So he's actually got the cube off the table. If my maths is correct, I'm gonna do a big disclaimer. I want this to be a disclaimer. I'm a goober, and I may be doing this wrong, but I am going off the best information that I have right now. So this is where the timer starts according to the frame count calculation. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frames back is where it looks like he's coming off. It's where it looks like he's coming off the timer. And I want to just be clear about what we're arguing about here. So I said 5, so 5 frames. Now, to get time, I divide by 30, right? So 5 frames is 0.17 seconds. Oh, dang it. It's not insignificant, and I don't like that. It's not insignificant, is it? 0.16 seconds is not insignificant in a 0.74 second solve, because you know that should be a 0.8. Nope, 0.9, right? If you take 0.74, so let's just add it. So 0.16 plus 0.74, yeah, it would be a 9 if it was a clean start. Unfortunately, from what I'm seeing, it is kind of backed up, isn't it? So, but yeah, it's tough because even then, like using the frame count to see the stops and starts is still kind of mucky. Consensus saying it saves around 0.15. The physicist cuber 0.17 is more than the amount the WR dropped. Could be the entire reason this is even a WR if consistent across the counting solves. Yeah, looking strictly at the solving. Let's do one of Zane's. Let's be fair, okay? Because I've got Zane's video here for exactly this reason. Let's just take, and I don't really care, but let's take Zane's first solve. Whose competition was this? And who was responsible for the batteries? Because, sort yourself out. This is gross. That said, let's find the first solve. I want to do exactly the same thing to one of Zane's solves as I did to Yiheng's solves. Because I don't think this happened to Zane at the time. Okay, let's just, this is Zane's first solve from this previous WR. And what is the time? 0.84. All right, Zane. 0.84. All right. Calculatron, where are you? So 0.84 seconds multiplied by 30, because this is another 30 frames per second video, is 25.2. At least that's how it's downloaded to my machine. Okay. 25.2 frames. Ibrahim's saying that Ibrahim's coming in looking at the average. He's saying with regard to Yiheng's solve that apparently solve 1 was the biggest offender. That was the most egregious one, is what people are saying. What we are looking at for Zane's first solve here at 0.84 seconds is 25.2 frames per second. So if everything's good with Yiheng's solves, then we should see an extra 4 or 5 frames on Zane's as well, right? I think I like that frame for the stop. Let me know if you think I'm being unfair on that for the stop. Okay, so if we count 25 frames back, we shouldn't see any fingers on cubes here, everyone. I don't want to do it. I don't like this, for the record. 25.2. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. and 26. So we're between these two frames and there's absolutely not a finger on the cube there. James now saying solve 1 was the only one where the solving time itself was longer than the recorded time. We need to check that. We need to check that. Gosh dang it, everyone. Give me work to do here. The Zane's looks clean. Zane's solve 1 looks clean. Let's go to solve 2, which is the one that I was claiming was point 1. All right, here we go. Here's the 7-0. Solve 2 is 0.70. Calculatron, I want you to work this out for me. 0.7 times 30 is 21. Okay, so we're looking for 21 frames. Let's find a nice clean stop frame. He does a sort of sweep when he stops. Nothing wrong with that, but that looks like a good stop frame to me. 21 frames. 21 frames exactly, was it? Yeah, 21 frames exactly, says the calculator. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Oh, dang it. Oh, it happened again. It happened again, everyone. That's sad. I want to, before we move on, oh, Kit's in the chat now as well. Kit's saying probably stopped before that. Okay. So Kit's questioning the stop frame. You reckon that's a better stop frame? That's the one I looked at. So there's one frame in it. Oh my gosh. Kit now coming in saying also potentially not a clean stop. Right, I'm going to wrap this up so we can bring Kit in. What have we learned, everyone? It's hard to tell. Now, okay, here we go. Basically, we might have some more chats with James and Kit about this when they come in. I might just have to drop them both in the chat at the same time. Timer stops and starts on video are hard to see. And I think that still backs up what I'm saying, that frame by frame is the best we've got, but it's still not actually good enough to prove too much. People will argue with that. And that's fair. But I'm just trying to play devil's advocate for the WCA and the regs right now, you know? So what have we learned? We know that there's a delay on the timer screen, but people have pointed out that's not necessarily what we're talking about in this instance. The video evidence is hard because it's not consistent and different frame rates are a thing. Honestly, what I'm left with right now is looking at these and frame counting them out. I don't love what I'm seeing. That makes me sad because he's just a little kid as well. But if it's fair for everyone, then it's the same rules for everyone, you know. But I wanted to show you Ibrahim's document because it's pretty cool what he's done. He's gone through. I'll drop a link, I'll drop a little link to this in the chat right now if you want to go and have a look. Ibrahim's put this doc together, frame counting a whole bunch of people's solves. But I don't like your method, Ibrahim. I love what you've done, but I don't like your method because you're using the first frame where you can see that the cube is solved. And I think really for this, you should be looking at the stop frame, right? The timer stop frame to see a distance between, if you're really trying to look for the timer start, I think you need to be using the stop. But that's just my take. Might be wrong. I wanted to bring up, someone posted a solution. Someone fixed it, everyone. Don't worry. Someone posted a solution. Here we go. Mystery Cuber 6546 is the hero that we needed. I am personally fine with discussions on and resolving this ASAP. Well, that's great. Thank you for your permission. Moving forward, regardless of the outcome, we should probably need every delegate, coach, top cuber, and your mom if she's a coach around the world to take a free masterclass course on timer starts and stop, frame counting solves, frame by frame analysis, and all possible timer stop start abuses under the sun. Fail it and you are not allowed, or at least not recommended, to compete if you are a top cuber. If you still insist on competing despite the failure, you will be told that you risk this potential disqualification. If not disqualified, you risk being regarded by notable members of the community as not legitimate, perhaps worse than disqualification. This course should be included in all cubing courses, in all cubing or cubing life academies around the world and translated to as many languages as practically possible. Your new sponsor should probably start offering this free masterclass course soon. Well, there you go. Have a look out on Cubing Life Academy, bringing you Cubecast today. Head to Cubing Life, Cubing Life Academy, cubing.life, and use code Cubecast for 5% off any one of their amazing courses, including how to start the timer properly. It absolutely doesn't include that because that's not a real course. But anyway, thank you for that little sponsor segue. I appreciate that. Did I have a little conclusion here that I wanted to say? Did I want to leave you with some dad thoughts? I don't think so. I think really all I'm going to comment on is what we've seen. I'm really, really sad that another world record is being torn apart like this. Like, is there no trust in the world? Do we not trust anyone? That's sad. It's tough. Based on what we have seen, based on the maths that we have done, and I asked you in the chat to correct my maths if I was wrong, and nobody did. So I feel like I probably did okay with that. With the frames that I've got, I think think we did all right. Unfortunately, I can see what people are talking about, and that makes me sad. Wow. There you go, everyone. Welcome to James and Kit. Shall we let's just wrap up what we've been talking about there. I don't know if you caught everything we talked about there, but it would be pretty silly of me to not take some advice from people who have been or are currently delegates on this. What are your reckons about what we've seen?
Do you want to go first?
I mean, I was awake when this happened. I saw it drop. Rob Yao and I were talking on Discord about this basically as soon as it happened. We watched the timer starts, and then I dropped a shit post in Kubik's friends.
I saw
that. Basically, yeah, it to me, like, it seemed right away that just there was something fishy going on. And I just based on what I've seen, I hope the record does not stand.
Wow, okay.
I don't think it sets a good precedent.
Yeah, I've personally, this record has kind of changed my stance a little bit. Like, I used to kind of agree with the WRC policy of, like, not going frame by frame, because I think a lot of times that is unreasonable if it's just out by, like, one frame or something, because it's like, a lot of the time the competitor wouldn't even know, like, they're trying to do a clean stop, but if it's like, your hands are slightly up, and it's, like, technically illegal. But I think this has made me revisit it, because, like, the fact that those starts look so clean in real time, and then you go back and you're like, oh no, you're saving like 0.15 a second, like that's the entire margin that the record was broken by. I think, either you need to allow this sort of analysis or just switch to format mode. Like, I think this has made it pretty clear that it's time for some kind of change.
Yeah, I'm not the supreme ruler of the WCA, and I'm really not as involved as I used to be, but if I were the supreme ruler, I would say that we need to start, putting funds into equipment and say 2025, we're switching to 4-pad, and anyone who needs help with equipment, we're going to help.
I think from what I've seen then around the discussion of 4-pad, the biggest concern is what happens to previous records and stuff, because it was not well received what happened with speed stacks, right? I don't know if you know the speed stacking stuff very well or not.
Mm-hmm. I think that the main thing to me is that this is not, I know we've just from this, it's like Ellery's solves, I think keep getting talked about a ton as a result of this with the 1.5 average or something that he got, and
the single as well.
And the single, the 0.5 single, so like I know that there are a lot of solves out there probably did have a good amount of sliding going on, but I don't think that as it stands currently we have as big of a problem as speed stacks had. Like, if you watch some of the 2-pad era speed stacks like competitions and what, it's just like they're not even afraid of cheating, and they were almost emboldened to cheat based on the speed stacks, like, statements on what was and wasn't allowed, and then they just U-turned and said, nope, we're not doing that. I don't think we need to do a records reset. I think that, sure, there are so many like irregularities in our database that like we certainly just don't know about, that I am comfortable saying that if we make this switch now, I don't think we need to reset anything. I think that, our switching to 4-pad is just making sure that our timer starts and stops are within regulations.
I hear what you're saying there. I don't think I've heard a good argument for not using 4-pad, actually. You know what I mean? Like, apart from people freaking out about a reset.
My biggest reservation about 4-pad is, like, we are now in an era where SpeedStack's patent for the 2-pad timers has expired, and so we can, if we want to, develop our own timers or use third-party ones or whatever, whereas we couldn't previously. But SpeedStacks has a patent on the 4-pad timers until 2037, if I recall correctly. So switching to that would mean another like 13 years of SpeedStacks only timers, which should
make it 8-pad. There should be an 8-pad timer. You have to have fingertips, and it scans your fingers, because we have the technology now. What's that system we're using with I forget the name of it.
Cubase.
Yes, Cubase.
Is that what it? Timer base. What is the one? Yeah. Are you talking the one that's like that records times and like submits it?
Yeah. So let's essentially, when you're signing up for the WCA accounts now, I think I want full biometric data. I want all your fingerprints. There are no problems with this. It's a perfect solution. Give me all your biometric data, hand it over, and then we'll just get all 8 fingerprints on the timers, and we're good to go. Fixed it.
Screaming. I just imagining a good amount of Americans and Europeans screaming about my freedom and my rights. But
Oh, also regarding the record reset thing, like I personally don't think it would be a huge issue, like Kit says, but if it is, it's still only going to be for like 3 events max. Like
Yeah.
even if even if it makes like a zero point 0.1 or 0.2 difference, that only matters for like turbo 2 pair and skew, maybe clock, but like everything else is like 0.1. That doesn't matter really. Like people improve by that margin in like 6 months, so it's
So-
like 3x3, whatever.
Someone else saying, can we just switch to smart cubes? We're still a while off that with the tech. We're still a long way off that. Don't rate it, Kit.
That to me, just even if we get the tech, I think it creates such a financial barrier to competitions that I would just really not want to see that happen.
Yeah, nah.
And it introduces a whole bunch of other issues. Like as soon as you're using a smart cube, like you can connect it to your phone and tell what the scramble is while it's in the scramble area, and all sorts of other stuff.
Yeah, they'd all have to be connected to one central device. It's not going to happen. That's silly. But anyway,
Yeah.
I appreciate the idea.